Pixel 8 versus the S23 FE. Fight. So actually there is some fighting going on, and it's interesting to me that there are like different levels of hypocrisy when it comes to this stuff because, well, whenever you take a look at the chips that are in these phones, this one has the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1 in it, which, well, quite honestly was a terrible chip when it came out 2 years ago, and this one has the Google Tensor G3, which a lot of people would have you believe is a terrible chip now. But what's very, very interesting about both of these chips is that the benchmarks are actually very similar, and the chip that's in this phone right here, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1, is the reason so many people are like, oh, the Tensor G3 is like a 2 or 3 year old chip. It's a mid-range chip. It's not a flagship chip, blah, 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 etc., etc. The end. Well, in reality, that's not really true. So the Tensor G3, brand spanking new, of course it has a lot of the stuff going on. It was designed by Google. It's made by Samsung. It's got the extra core. It has 9 cores in it instead of the 8 that's in here. And then it also has the dedicated tensor processing unit as well. So it's very capable when it comes to AI, machine learning, all the algorithmic based stuff, computational photography. This is the smartest phone of 2023. Well, also the Pixel 8 Pro. They're both very, very smart smartphones. Well, it's funny because I've seen quite a few different people talking about the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1. There's been a lot of people calling the S23 FE the Pixel 8 killer, or that it's a better phone, or saying that it's got a much better processor in it, or it's got a better chip, or all these different things. And so many people are admitting the fact that the chip actually is 2 years old. And the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1, power-wise, is a very, very good chip. Even today, even in 2023, on the cusp of 2024, it still delivers a lot of power, especially when you're talking about a 1080p screen, 120 hertz refresh rate. With this one, you can play a lot of games. You can play them really, really well. The Snapdragon 8 Generation 1 was built for speed, but it was also built for basically eluding benchmarks. So the 8 Generation 1 is actually what got the S22 series phones kicked off of and delisted from Geekbench because, well, the problem was it was running too hot and it was using up too much energy. It was burning up too much battery, and it was just not doing good. It wasn't doing good at all. And then what happened was they were basically throttling everything on the phone using the game optimization service. So you would think it would be cool to use the game optimization service to optimize your games, but you don't want to use that to, let's say, throttle things like Twitter to run as slow or slower than the Snapdragon 765. So they got caught, like 3 or 4 years of their phones got delisted from Geekbench, and, well, we had to move on. But they finally got it kind of under control. And this one, it has like a new vapor chamber in it that's supposed to help out with some of the heat issues, some of the top end things going on. And it does seem to be better. It doesn't seem to be getting as hot as my previous ones. Battery life still not the greatest in the world. But it's just so funny to see so many people praising this phone and so many people praising the chip that's in it, and then they talk trash about this one. And it's funny because, like, oh, this is a flagship chip from like 2 years ago. I'm like, well, this is a flagship chip from today that's actually on paper slightly better than this one in the benchmark department, but also completely outmaneuvers it in AI, machine learning, and all that great stuff. So the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1 really was kind of one of the first chips that really started to kind of hammer down on the machine learning, even though the software really wasn't taking advantage of it at that point. And then we had the advent of the Pixel 6 that same year with the... Actually, no, we already had the Pixel 6. The Pixel 7 came out last year with the Tensor G2. But it's just funny whenever people are all over this one, and then there were so many people that were so against this one. Even though they're like, well, it's a good experience, it's a good phone, we like the Pixel phone, we like the cool smart stuff, we like the software things, but it's got a 3-year-old chip in it, so I would never touch it. And then they recommend this one, which, yeah, is not as good as this one on paper, at least in my book. So, other things. The phones actually are really good. So I love the Pixel 8. Great phone. It's got the 2 cameras on the back. You can see something very glaringly obvious here. 3 cameras, 2 cameras. What gives, right? What's different? You have a telephoto here. So this one has a dedicated telephoto in the S23 FE. And then the Pixel 8 just has the 2. It has the regular camera and the ultra wide. However, I do believe that the cameras in the Pixel 8 are better. Of course, they have Google's legendary camera, the processing, the AI that has the computational photography and all that stuff. And this one is very capable, very serviceable, takes good pictures. Of course, you got the telephoto. The Pixel can't compete with that. But also, you have the macro lens Well, it doesn't have macro. It uses the ultra wide, but you have macro photography. You can do those up close and personal National Geographic shots with the Pixel 8, whereas you can't do that over here. So telephoto here, macro capability here. So in essence, you get basically distinct camera capabilities in each one. Selfie cameras, both are I think they're pretty darn good. But the big fundamental thing is 6.4-inch screen, 6.2-inch screen. There's a definitely noticeable difference here. This phone, the Pixel 8, is about 20 grams lighter, and you can feel it. Whenever I got the S23 FE, I took it out of the box. It feels kind of chunky. It doesn't feel as polished and refined. It really feels like a 2-year-old phone. I made a video talking about the S23 FE, calling it the zombie phone, because basically everything in this phone is 2 to 3 years old. And that's the truth. It's not like this one where people go, oh, the processor's basically 3 years old. No, this one, the processor literally is 2 years old. It came out in 2021. We have the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 now, but both of them, 128 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigabytes of RAM. You get 3 color options here, and then you get like 5 over here, which you get like tangerine and lime and purple. There's some really cool colors, and Samsung's phones always stand out. They pop that way. They've got, especially, there's 2 exclusive colors you can get on Samsung. And if you're interested, I've got links for both of these in the description if you feel like picking them up. So I've not really been in a rush to criticize the S23 FE yet. That's why I bought this phone. I, at the beginning, was like, look, don't buy this. Snapdragon 8 Generation 1, it was terrible with the S22. The S22 phone's worst battery life of any flagship phone that I've used in years, and I just wasn't overly impressed with it. I wasn't impressed 2 years ago, or at the beginning of last year, effectively 2 years ago. So why would I be impressed with it now, just because they added like a vapor chamber, which, if you want to do some gaming, honestly, I still think that the S23 FE, because of the similar benchmark scores, and the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1 is really good for gaming. It's just not good at preserving your battery life or heat in the process. But I think both of them very kind of parallel in that regard. But yeah, 6.4-inch screen, 1080p, 6.2-inch screen, 1080p. You got the fingerprint scanner under the screen on both of them. They both have facial recognition, and I think that they're both pretty good phones. Now, $599. S23 is $599. Sorry, S23 FE, and then the Pixel 8 is $699. I expect that to be a nice competition here in the next couple of weeks. Like, keep an eye on it, because I fully expect there to be a price drop and probably bring back maybe a free watch or free earbuds with the Pixel 8. I expect there to be a competitive price drop with the S23 FE as well. It always happens, especially during the holidays. Samsung and Google both want to move these phones, so that's something that they're going to try and do. They're going to try very aggressively to get you to buy one of these phones. They both have USB-C charging. They both have about 30-watt charging. They both have 15-watt wireless charging. So you have very similar characteristics across the board. If you stack them up, you're like same, 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 same. But some big distinguishing factors are One UI and then stock Android. So Material U, stock Android, 7 years of operating system updates, 7 years of security patches. That's a long stinking time. Very long time. Pixel 8, 7 and 7. And then S23 FE, you get 4 years of operating system updates, 5 years of security patches. It's actually really interesting because this chipset, Samsung's actually going to be supporting it for 7 years. 6 years of operating system updates, 7 years security patches for the chip, because they've already been using it for basically 2 years. So this one, like I said, 4 years and 5 years. But if you look at it, the S22 came out almost 2 years ago, came out with the Snapdragon 8 Generation 1, so it's coming up on 2 years. Well, they basically just threw the same chip in here and extended and gave the same warranty to this phone. So it's kind of interesting, and I think that's kind of like a precursor for things to come. I truly do expect that when the S24 gets here, that Samsung is going to announce probably 5 years of operating system updates, 5 years security patches, or maybe even 6. I don't think they're going to go the full 7, but that's where Google's at right now, and that's very impressive. It's the best in the industry. I know I have my concerns about whether it'll actually last that long, but theoretically it can, and theoretically they will support it for that long. But then I've got my Google Pixel Fold that Android 14 has been out for a month, and it still doesn't have it. So yeah, I think Samsung really has been better over the last 2 years when it comes to software updates, security patches, timeliness, and things like that. And Google recently just abandoned their whole, okay, first Monday of the month, that was always their schedule for releasing the new updates, and they've said we're not going to stick to that schedule anymore. So I don't even know if that's going to happen today, which is actually the day of this video. I'll make a video if it does. But yeah, I think that with what you get here, you've got nice bright screens. Of course, the S23 FE goes up to about 1400 nits maximum brightness, which is very fair. If you looked at this a year ago, you'd say, hey man, that's pretty darn good. But then you have the Pixel 8 goes all the way up to 2000 maximum nits brightness. So they both have very bright, very beautiful screens. They both have good selfie cameras. You're going to be able to do a lot of the similar things with these. I think that the Pixel 8 still takes the cake when it comes to quality and overall like best picture status. And then, you know, might be a coin flip when it comes to video. I don't usually like to do a lot of Android video stuff because Apple is just so good at it. But both of them are very capable in that department, 4K video front and back. So, yeah, they are competitive phones. I still think the Pixel 8 is the better phone, especially because I think it has more brains. I think it's a smarter phone. And I really like what Google has done with the Pixel 8, the Pixel 8 Pro this year. I didn't like that they bumped it up to $699, and that was my biggest concern price-wise because I knew somebody would come along and pick up that $599 price mark. The Pixel 7 and the Pixel 6 were such amazing good deals for so long. Why? Because they were $599. That's so darn stinking cheap. And then right now you can get the Pixel 7a as of the making of this video for like $375 or something like that, which is an okay deal. I really didn't like the Pixel 7a coming out at $500 because the A series has always been the cheaper, the budget phone, and they really kind of dumbed things down, but still made it so very similar to the Pixel 7 that I thought, well, just get the 7, right? If they're $50 apart, get the 7. It's got better stuff basically across the board. I really didn't see the need to make the 7a. They could have just left it with the 7 and the 7 Pro, but you know Google making very questionable decisions all the time. So, yeah, S23 FE, I think so far it's been a good phone. It's been a pretty good experience, and they've definitely cut down on some of the heat. I don't know if they've got some throttling going on here. I don't do benchmark testing with these phones, but I think from a day-to-day perspective, what you're going to get is going to be very similar. Both of them have all-day battery, at least from what I've experienced so far. You're not going to get 9-10 hour screen on time, but I think 5 to 6 hours I think is pretty reasonable for both of them. And you're going to be able to take some good photos. You're going to have a nice screen experience. Both of them have 120 hertz. Both of them have OLED. You know, they have their AMOLED displays. Samsung makes some great panels. So it's just interesting to me that there were so many people, and I've been fighting everybody in the comments for like the last couple of weeks, but so many people trash the Tensor G3, and then there's been getting so much praise for the S23 FE. I'm like, do you people even listen to the same things that y'all say? Because it's like you talk out of both sides of your mouth. Now, there's some people out there who call it as it is, but realistically, the benchmarks as far as performance are about the same. But there are little things that matter, like this one has LG DDR5 memory. This is just the 5X, and this is just the 5. So there is slightly better memory. You've got an extra core, the Tensor processing unit, the Titan M2 security chip. I think that the Google phone is more secure. I think it's going to be supported longer. I think that from a photography's perspective, of course, it's better. Battery life is about the same on both. And they both have pretty decent speakers. So there's a lot of similarities. But at the end of the day, I'm probably still going to buy the Pixel 8. Now, I've cast some negative judgment on the S23 FE from the get-go because of my bad experience with the S21, or sorry, the S22 series. But to try and stay on the up and up and to give you as genuine and honest and as actual factual reviews and thoughts as I can, I spent my own money on this. I went and spent $650 and bought this phone with taxes, but I also bought the Pixel 8. Samsung didn't send me this. Google didn't send me this. So I feel like I can offer some pretty good insight on this from probably what you could expect if you want to go buy one. I know some people are very iffy about, oh, the company sent you the phone, so you're going to say nice things. Look, I bought both of these. So all I can say is, well, it'd be nice if they sent them to me, but they don't. So I had to buy this. But overall, I think that so far the experience that I've had with both of them is good. I think it's comparable in a lot of ways. And I think you can't go wrong with either. One thing that's really special, though, about the Pixel 8 is this 6.2-inch screen. It really kind of makes it the best one-handed flagship phone or flagship-based kind of phone you can get out there on the market today. I know there's the Zenfone 10, which I did review, and it's okay. But I like this phone a lot better. And I think that if you're interested, you'll probably like it too. But again, I've got links in the description for both if you're interested. Keep an eye out for this holiday for sales and stuff. I just wanted to talk about it because it was so frustrating to me all the great positive things that people are singing praises about Samsung throwing this 2-year-old chip in here, but then so many people are hating on the Tensor G3. I'm like, really? Really? I mean, that's not cool at all. But anyway, both of them very solid performers and good for pretty much anything you want to do with them. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So that's all I've got. Formulate your own opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Are you interested in the S23 FE, the zombie phone, the true 2-3-year-old phone, or are you interested in the Pixel 8? Let's talk about it. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.